Hey folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the more survivalists, and in this case we're going to be comparing the TDS, total dissolved solids, particles in water, and the pH from distilled water, tap water, zero water, and bottled water. Zero water is going to be filtered with that zero water filter from that tap water. Before I go on, remember that if you want to support the channel, if you want to learn more about survival and preparedness, remember that you have my books, 3 survival skills, you have Surviving the Economic Collapse and Bugging Out and Relocating, 3 books available in the links below. That really does help out the channel, that really will help you get better prepared. And if you also want to get the zero water filter after watching this, I'll leave the link there below with a couple other alternatives in case you want to consider something else. Now, let me be absolutely clear about this. This is not a lab controlled test. This is just me trying a few things out and comparing the results. And this is just one sample. This is just my water filter, the one I got new, and that's just what I have to test. But it does kind of align with most of the things that you find doing research. So I guess it's interesting to notice that too. So let's start with the TDS meter. This is going to be testing the amount of solids dissolved in water. Okay, let's turn this thing on. And yes, there's always a possibility of cross-contamination. Let's start with distilled water. It's giving me a reader of 0, or what is it, that 1. So yeah, let's get very close to that. Showing the results. Okay, 0, 1. Let's go with, it's giving me 1. Okay, distilled water should be perfectly distilled and should have 0. Well, in this case, giving me just a little bit of contamination, which is understandable given that I have a glass there that hasn't been sterilized or anything like that. But let's compare that with tap water. And the tap water that I have here is of acceptable quality. It's 158 particles per, well, whatever the hell that is, but 158, that is a very good reading. That is not bad at all. And in case you're wondering, I have done this many times before in these last few days, and the readings are pretty much the same. I'm drying it up. Yes, you could like rinse it in distilled water, and again, the results you get are still the same, 0.001, okay? So again, not a lab test, just a little bit of an average idea. Okay, so tap water 150 something, which is very good, and for zero water we have 1. We have 1. Okay, again, this is a filter that I've been using for a few days now. 0.01 is still very, very good. I think you're supposed to change your filter when you reach 0.06. So with 6, you're supposed to be changing your filter. So this is still very good, well within the lifespan of the zero water filter. So as you see, you're pretty much reducing all of the particles, all of the dissolved solids in water with a zero water filter. That's its claim to fame. It actually comes with its own meter, which I also have, and pretty much throws similar results. Bottled water, and it's still very good, 174. All right, so why is it that you have a little bit more solids in bottled water than in tap water? Well, as I was saying, the tap water here is quite nice, it's quite good, and mineral water, well, it will have minerals, it will have things that your zero water filter will filter. So this is one of the concerns that sometimes people have with this, specifically with the zero water filter, which it just filters everything. You're talking about magnesium, calcium, it just filters everything. And some people are worried about, well, if it filters everything, some of these things I actually want to have. I want to have minerals in my water because those are good. I don't want to just get rid of the heavy metals and the crap that I don't want to be drinking. I want to get rid of that, but I don't want to get rid of the minerals because mineral water good. Is that correct? In fact, yes, it is. Now, is it the fact that you need those minerals to stay alive? Yes, you do, but really, most people get those mostly through the food that you're eating that have a lot more of those minerals than the water you're drinking. Now, one of the things that some people are concerned about is the acidity of water, basically your pH, because if it's too low, you're drinking acidic water, which is not as dramatic as it sounds unless you go below a certain point, but there's a possibility of it leaching and attracting heavy metals from plumbing and concerns. You basically don't want to be drinking acid water. It has to be also said that this is not directly proportional. The average standard for water, for tap water, mostly around the world, is going to be between 6, 7, 8. About that is going to be the kind of water that you want to drink. 6 to 8, 6 to 7, 6.5, depending on where you're looking at. But you basically don't want to be drinking acid water because as low as you get, you have it like 10 times and 100 times more acidity than the level before. Like going from 6 to 5, it's going to be like 100 times more acidic than the previous level, and so on. Basically, like 1 is battery acid, and 14, in terms of how alkaline or not it is, it's gonna be bleach, okay? You don't wanna drink battery acid, you don't wanna drink bleach, but humans are perfectly safe within that parameter. But let's test it using this meter that I found it to not be all that accurate, but still worth trying out. Distilled water is giving me 7 points. You have to let it rest for a little while there. So that's going to be 7.5, which doesn't sound about right. It should be like 7. Actually, when it's exposed to air, it would drop down to 6.4, 6.5, give or take. So it's going there little by little. It's slowly going towards that realistic. I mean, perfectly distilled water should be 7. But since the moment it's exposed to the atmosphere, it will drop and it will become more acidic. As you see there, it's kind of going towards the level that is expected. So yeah, there you go. 6.37 seems to be where it's settling at. A little bit lower. Down until, yeah, there it is. 6.3. So that is actually quite accurate. Still dropping a little bit more. Okay, there we go. But we're going to be measuring it yet again with those strips. Again, cross-contamination here is definitely a thing, but at least based on the several measures that I've done, it is not really all that significant, and the readings you get still tell the story here quite well. Going a little bit more alkaline there with the tap water, but still, again, this is tap water of very good quality, which brings me to another point. Being completely honest, if you have good quality of tap water, you probably don't even need to filter it, okay? It's sometimes a little bit of a business, a little bit of the marketing, a little bit of the paranoia, and I am definitely a fool for that sort of thing, given that I'm a survivalist. But really, honestly, if you have high quality tap water, you probably don't need to filter it at all. This is just a little bit more of a security blanket and a little bit more of control of your own. If something goes wrong with the local grid, some of the local deposit tanks, you have that little bit of extra security of, yeah, I'm doing a little bit of my own, I'm filtering, but as you see, this is still very, very good. A little bit more alkaline water, it will have a nicer taste. A little bit more acidic water, it can be a little bit more like lemony flavor, a little bit more acidic to the tongue if you're used to more alkaline water. But it's really not all that terrible to have a little bit. I think that Perrier water, you're talking about high quality bottled water, Perrier is around 5, so that is super low. And here we go to our zero water testing. And zero water, as you see, it just gives me pretty acidic results with this tester. Now, again, cross-contamination, but I mean, at the end of the day, these have higher pH than zero water. So if anything, it should be giving me a little bit higher pH than what it actually is. And this is the point in where I was a little bit concerned with what I was getting. Zero water removes everything, including those minerals which are not bad for you, but this makes the water quite a bit more acid, and you actually see it yourself. You take one of my kids said it tingled his tongue, right? And my wife had the same feeling. I kind of have the same reaction myself, especially because I'm used to using the tap water filter through my Berkey filter, the Berkey filter, which I don't have here because I just removed it, so I have to change for this. But the results I got is the same TDS that I have from tap water with the Berkey filter, and it's the same pH. The Berkey filter does not change those things at all, which is obviously something that I kind of like, because I'm not all that worried about crap in my water, and the Berkey filter gives me that extra security, giving more of a less, this is more of a ion exchange kind of filter. Again, not an expert on these things, but as you see, a lot more acidic. Now, my control being distilled water, this gives me a little bit of concern in terms of that is accurate. That is not unexpected from distilled water. It is actually exactly what it should be. And again, if I do this, if I rinse it, it shouldn't be giving me anything different because, right? Again, you see it going up. I'm not even going to wait for it. I'm just going to be using that cross-contamination to have a less acidic result here. Right? This is just basic common sense. Even if this is completely broken, it should be giving me a more alkaline result because I cross-contaminated right now with something that is less acidic, correct? Well, yeah, and then turns off, but I'll leave it there, and there we go. Starts going up, but really not all that much. Okay, just gives me a result that is quite acidic. And here is yet another piece of advice. Trust yourself, trust your body, trust what you actually feel. If my tongue is telling me that, man, it does feel acidic, it could be a few things. It could be used that I'm used to more alkaline tap water or Berkey filtered water, but it's still feeling acidic for me. Now, there is a new trend of alkalinized water and filters that add alkaline to it, which is the opposite of what you will get from the zero water filter. But as you see, it kind of stays there. This is fairly acidic compared to tap water, and now compared to bottled, well, mineral water. What is the result that we'll have here? Again, I'm contaminating a little bit from that zero water, which is quite low, and here you see though that it goes up nicely to more of a 6.12. This is the kind of result that you would usually expect from I mean, the standards change from one country from the other, but between 6.5 to 7 or 8, those would be the parameters that most countries have in terms of what they want in their tap water, okay? That does not mean that more acidic water is directly bad for you. And there is a video that I saw from a guy that said like Coca-Cola has like 4, and you know, coffee has, I don't know, 3 or whatever, sure. And lemon, which we'll test here in a second, has, but you know what? I'm not an idiot, and I'm not drinking Diet Coke or coffee as if it was water. So that is kind of not something that gives me a whole lot peace of mind, right? But now, one of the things I did was test it with these strips, because I was worried about not getting accurate readings with those. So let's go with zero water. What is the, yeah, I almost contaminated my entire thing here with water, but there you go, zero water. We have that, and as you see, this is gonna be somewhat like a, kind of like, what do you guys think? Well, that seems to be almost like an 8, right? Or a 7. No, more like a 7. I would give it a solid 7. Let me know what you guys think there through the camera. I think that's a solid 7. So according to the strip, this is a lot better than the kind of a little bit more worrisome data that I got from this pH meter, okay? So that's not really all that terrible. So according to the strip, that's a solid 7. I would give it a solid 7. Let's go now with the distilled water, all right? Distilled water. Okay, little one. There we go. And yeah, I have a big old spot there from all these things. Distilled water, again, distilled water is gonna be a 7. I think it's close to 7, even though the meter gave me like 6 and something. So there is a margin of error here, but I will say that distilled water is a solid 7. Not different from the zero water. All right, now let's go with the tap water. Again, silly me, I have a little drop there, but it's not changing the rest of the strip. Tap water, okay, quick half a second dip, and tap water is giving me, yeah, I would give this, what do you guys think, an 8, all right, a solid 8 in terms of how alkaline that is. Okay, yeah, I would give it between 7 and 8, all right. And the test, the flavor test, I would say it does feel a lot softer, a lot more minerally, the tap water, than the zero water. The zero water feels a little bit more acidic by far, and the tap water feels more alkalinized, which gives it, at least for me, the flavor is better from the tap water for me. Now, some people like more. And this is the bottled water, which is bottled mineral water. All right. So as expected, bottled mineral water, which is a pretty mild mineralized water. It's not very heavy. It's not very alkaline, and the results show just that. I will give it a 7 to 8. So it's very close to the tap mineral water. So as you see, it's really not all that big of a margin of difference that you have here. Now, in case you're wondering, hey, maybe this is all broken and you're just using strips that give you pretty much the same results. I would argue that distilled water and zero water, very, very close. Definitely different from the tap water and from the mineral water. But so as to show you what it looks like for lemon, which is what I have here, this is how it reacts with lemon. So the lemon strip definitely shows very acidic. And I mean, yeah, you can drink lemon and it's gonna be fine, but you're not gonna be drinking lemon all day long, because if you drink lemon juice as if it was water, you'll destroy your teeth in a matter of a couple days. But as you see there, definitely that this is working correctly. These little strips work. And I would say that I trust these little strips even more than the pH meter. But still the point remains. Zero water does feel a little bit acidic to the tongue. Yes, it is still what I would call within the safe parameters, but if that's not the kind of taste that you like drinking daily, maybe this is not for you. If you like a little bit more of a lemony kind of taste from your water, yeah. Now, it is also true, and I will say this, for zero water, those filters are on the more expensive side of filters, and they need to be replaced fairly often, especially if your TDS tap water is kind of high. If it's like above 200, 300, or let alone 400 or so, this is not for well water. You will have to replace that within a couple of weeks, okay? So just a few things to keep in mind. I think it's quite interesting to test these things, and since I was already on the obsessive compulsive side of things, I thought I might as well just share this with you folks. Guys, it's gonna be all for now. See you on the next video. Take care.